Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. The updated and expanded second edition of my book, The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments, is now available. Readers can expect to march with Arnie's Army at the 1960 U.S. Open, relive Jack Nicklaus's remarkable 1986 Masters win, and be amazed by the Tiger Slam. The Golf Round I'll Never Forget, Golf's Biggest Stars Recall Their Finest Moments. Pick it up where fine books are sold, including BarnesandNoble.com and Amazon.com.
This day in sports history. It's April 6th, and on this day in 1958, Arnold Palmer won his first major, and the world of golf was changed forever. Palmer was a fresh-faced 28-year-old playing in the Masters. This was his fourth year on the PGA Tour, and he had 8 wins under his belt, but he was still looking for his first major title. He'd had some good days at Augusta National, finishing in the top 10 twice in his 3 attempts. On this day, Palmer started the day tied for the lead with Sam Snead after a third-round 68. But that final day at the Masters was played different than it is now. On this day, Palmer, as the leader, went out several hours before the final group of the day and was paired with Ken Venturi, who had been the leader after the first 2 rounds. Something else to know, the weather had been wet. A thunderstorm had passed through the night before, and the deluge of rain left the golf course a boggy, soggy mess. That nearly postponed the final round, but instead they decided to play it. And the weather played a role in this one with some controversy. Now, the rules on the day, since it was so wet on the course, allowed for lift, clean, and place. So coming to the par 3 12th with a 1-shot lead, Palmer hit his tee shot long into the bank behind the green. Venturi had done the same thing, and his shot had bounced back on the putting surface, where he was able to 2-putt for par. But Palmer's ball was plugged. It was embedded in the ground. Speaking with a rules official at the hole, Palmer was told he had to play it as it was. Palmer chopped at the buried ball and moved it 1.5 feet. He ended up making a 5, but Palmer knew the rules, and so instead of going to the next tee, he went back to the spot where his tee shot landed, placed his ball as he would have if he had actually followed lift, clean, in place, hit his second, and then tapped in for a 3. But which could he put on his scorecard? A 3, and he still had a 1-shot lead. A 5, and he trailed by 1. It wasn't until several holes later when tournament founder Bobby Jones told Palmer that he was correct and had parred the 12th. Coming to the 18th, Palmer felt like he needed a birdie to secure the win, but a 3-putt left him with a bogey 5 instead for a final round 73. And now he had to wait. And wait. He waited more than an hour for the final group to come to the 18th. Both Fred Hawkins and defending champ Doug Ford needed birdies to tie Palmer, but neither could do better than par to finish a shot back. It was Palmer's first win at a major and the first of 4 green jackets he would win in his career. So, why did this change golf? Well, while golf had great champions like Jones and Byron Nelson and Ben Hogan, among others, this was the era of television. More and more homes were adding them, and the charismatic Palmer was perfect to bring the game to the masses. And couple that with the rivalry that would soon emerge with Jack Nicklaus and Gary Player, coverage of golf began to flourish, and a lot of people around the country, both men and women, took up the game. Arnold's Army grew in great numbers after his win on this day in the 1958 Masters. Interesting fact, the 58 Masters is also when the term Amen Corner originated. Sports Illustrated's Herbert Warren Wind coined the term in his article about the final day's action at the 11th, 12th, and 13th holes. Also on this day in 1896, the modern Olympics was born in Greece. It was the opening ceremony to not only revive the ancient games, but also to commemorate the 75th anniversary of Greece's independence from Turkey. A total of 13 nations were represented. Outside of Europe, there wasn't a lot known about these games, but the United States did manage to send the largest contingent of athletes. But funny thing, the Americans almost did not make it to the start. Travel in 1896, was a bit slow. Obviously, no transatlantic flight. Heck, we're still, more than 7 years before the Wright brothers would take flight in North Carolina. So the U.S. team took a steamer ship to Europe, but they thought the games started on the 18th. When they arrived in Naples, Italy on the 1st, they thought they had plenty of time when they found out they only had 5 days to make it to Athens, and panic hit. Fortunately, they did make it to the opening ceremonies just hours before the start. They were a bit tired and ragged. The first gold medal of the modern Olympiad was won by an American. James Connolly won the triple jump with a distance of 45 feet. Interestingly, Connolly was a student at Harvard until the university would not grant him a leave of absence to compete in the games. He quit school and went anyway. Also on this day, in 1997, the St. Louis Blues' Craig McTavish retired from hockey. McTavish, who played with the Bruins, Oilers, Rangers, Flyers, and Blues in his 17-year career, holds the distinction of being the last hockey player in the NHL to play without a helmet. When the rule was passed June 1, 1979, mandating helmets, players already on NHL rosters were grandfathered in and could choose to play without one if they signed a waiver. Fun fact, McTavish actually played with a helmet early in his career with Boston and later on in Edmonton when it wasn't required. In 1973, New York Yankee Ron Blomberg holds the distinction of becoming the first designated hitter in Major League Baseball. When he stepped to the plate on this day, he drew a bases-loaded walk in the first against Boston's Louis Tiant, but the Yankees lost 15-5 to the Red Sox on this day. The DH rule had been adopted by the American League in January for a 3-year trial period. However, the DH had actually been proposed nearly 7 decades earlier. Famed Philadelphia Athletics manager Connie Mack proposed it in 1906, but it didn't really start gaining momentum until the late 60s. And speaking of the Yankees, in 1982, opening day was canceled at New York's Yankee Stadium due to a blizzard dumping more than a foot of snow on the city. It actually canceled the first 3 games, and they didn't play their first home game until the 11th. And today's non-sports Did You Know? Moments before he was fatally shot, President William McKinley gave away his good luck charm. That's all for today, and hey, I know I say this a bunch, but sometimes a call to action takes a while for folks to, take action. So if you have a moment, go ahead and get your kind act of the day out of the way and give a 5-star review and leave a comment about the show. It really does help. Okay, that's it for now. I'll be back tomorrow with more This Day in Sports History. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.
Hey there, sports history fan. This is Arnie Chapman, a.k.a. the Football History Dude, and I hope that you enjoyed this recent episode presented by the Sports History Network and were able to learn some good old-fashioned sports history knowledge nuggets. I started the Sports History Network back in 2020 with the mission to help podcasters find a community of like-minded sports history nerds, as well as helping aspiring podcasters to start their own shows. We have a little bit over 30 shows on the network right now covering all sorts of sports history, but as far as I'm concerned, we're just at the toothpick in the ocean moment, that can't even figure it out because there's so much more coming. We wanted to create the ultimate headquarters for sports yesteryear, starting with Podcast Network and our website, but we're going to continue to move into other mediums as well. And here's the cool part, because we want you to be part of our team. So if you're interested in starting your own podcast, or maybe being a guest on one of our shows, or who knows, maybe even writing an article for us over on the website. Seriously, all you gotta do is reach out to us on the contact page over at sportshistorynetwork.com. You can be as technologically savvy as a Neanderthal tapping on a stone trying to figure out this whole hieroglyphics thing back in the day. Again, it doesn't matter, because even if you don't understand the whole podcast space, we have a production team that can pretty much help you out with doing everything. All you gotta do, head over to sportshistorynetwork.com, head to the contact page, fill it out. That message goes right to me, and I'll reach out to you as soon as I can. But for now, dude, I'm through if you're through.